Okay, so think about the very last time you decided to completely overhaul your life. Maybe it was a massive new fitness regimen, a plan to finally launch that business, or a commitment to learn a brand new language. Remember that? You felt this huge surge of energy, right? This vivid vision of a better you. And what was the very first thing you did? Well, if you're like most of us, you probably told someone about it. You posted it, you announced it to the whole world. But here we are, months later. Where exactly did all that energy go? Welcome. Today, we're exploring a profoundly different approach to personal growth, one that completely flips the script on how we actually achieve our greatest ambitions. We're talking about embracing the unwitnessed process. Have you ever noticed that the more you talk about your plans, the less they actually seem to move forward? It's wild, but there is a very real, very hidden psychological reason for this. So many of us believe that announcing a goal out loud creates accountability, right? Like it locks us in. But the truth is, the exact opposite happens. Talking about what you intend to do gives your brain this premature sense of accomplishment. It literally tricks your mind into feeling as if just announcing it was part of the actual result. It's kind of like eating the dessert before you've even chopped the vegetables for dinner. And that is the exact moment your actual motivation to act completely collapses. Why? Because you've already collected a piece of that social reward before taking a single difficult step in the real world. So, the antidote to this whole motivation trap comes down to a concept almost nobody associates with personal transformation: silence. And we aren't just talking about keeping quiet or the mere absence of noise here. We're talking about silence as a psychological shield. When you keep your ambitions entirely to yourself, you are building a fortress around your focus. You prevent that premature dopamine hit that just drains your drive, ensuring that your energy is actually spent on doing the work rather than just talking about doing the work. This quiet approach really relies on three main pillars. First up, it keeps your focus locked onto the process instead of craving external validation. I mean, when nobody is watching, you stop acting to impress an audience, and you start acting because the work genuinely matters to you. Second, silence shields you. When a plan is brand new, it is incredibly fragile. Keeping it hidden protects it from all the unnecessary doubts, projections, and negative energy of other people. And third, and honestly, this is probably the most satisfying reason, silence surprises people. Your actual results are always going to speak with a volume and an undeniable truth that a promised intention simply cannot match. So the crucial point is this: if you want to experience a transformation that actually lasts, you have to fundamentally change what you are focusing on. Stop writing down goals, start writing down habits. We see it all the time. People write down their grand final outcome on a sticky note, confidently slap it onto their bathroom mirror, and just assume that's going to be enough. We've all been there, right? But an outcome is just a destination. It doesn't give you a map. The final outcome doesn't tell you what you actually need to do when your alarm goes off at 5 a.m. on a cold, rainy Monday morning. People who genuinely change their lives don't obsess over the outcome. They meticulously design the daily behaviors that make that outcome totally inevitable. Let's compare a classic goal to a daily habit to see this in action. A goal like lose 10 pounds in 3 months is super abstract. It's intimidating. It feels like this giant mountain you have to climb all at once. But an actionable habit, like eating vegetables at every single meal and walking 45 minutes a day, that is concrete, it is executable, there's absolutely zero confusion about what you need to do today. You don't have to overthink it, you just execute the behavior. The exact same trap applies to our minds with intellectual goals. Read 12 books this year carries a ton of heavy expectation. If you fall behind in February, you suddenly feel like a failure by March. But read 10 pages before bed? Come on, that's tiny. It's totally manageable. It removes the intimidation factor completely. By breaking the grand ambition down into a small nightly routine, you are practically guaranteeing progress without triggering the anxiety of that massive end goal. And this next one brilliantly illustrates how we can remove conscious effort entirely from the equation. Aiming to save a large amount by year-end relies heavily on willpower. And here's the thing about willpower: it is a finite resource. It is completely depleted at the end of a long, stressful day. But setting up an automated transfer the exact moment your paycheck lands, that requires zero willpower after the initial setup. You're basically designing a system where the result becomes an inevitable mathematical consequence of your habit. It runs itself. Finally, let's look at the classic desire to wake up earlier and be more productive. Look, just setting your alarm earlier rarely works if you don't change the underlying structure. A solid habit focuses on the environment, going to bed at the exact same time, and, critically, putting your phone completely across the room. You organically guarantee your morning result by simply designing your environment the night before. The real secret to lasting transformation is, well, painfully obvious once you see it. When you build solid habits, your goals happen as a natural, almost effortless consequence. You literally have to stop chasing the shiny outcome. You have to lower your gaze to the dirt, to the daily grind, and start building the underlying structure that actually supports that outcome. It is simply about laying one brick perfectly every single day. Okay, let's dive into this and actually put it into motion, starting with phase one, the foundation. It all begins with your identity, defining the basic habits of the person you intend to become. Ask yourself, what would the future version of you do differently starting today? Then, you take that identity and anchor it in a morning routine, really engaging your body and mind in those critical first hours. Starting your day with intentionality drastically increases the odds that the rest of your day is going to follow suit. Finally, you have to ruthlessly eliminate distractions. You have to mute the external noise so you can finally, clearly hear your own internal signals. Disconnecting from all that external noise is absolutely profound. When you finally step away from the relentless cycle of social media updates and public announcements, you reclaim your power. I mean, change in silence literally means you no longer need anyone else's approval, likes, or applause to just keep going. Instead, you invest that time in deep self-awareness. Maybe you keep a private journal, tracking your own progress and insights, accountable only to the person staring right back at you in the mirror. Now, as you build this silent routine, you've really got to remember to be patient, just because of how time works. The passage of time is funny. When you're just starting out today, 6 months feels like an absolute eternity. But the reality is, that time is going to pass either way. The clock is ticking whether you use it or not. By 3 months, you're building serious momentum, and by 6 months, you're looking at a noticeable transformation. So the only real question you have to ask yourself is this. 6 months from right now, do you want to be sitting in the exact same spot, dealing with the exact same frustrations, or do you want to have something tangible built to show for that time? Once that quiet foundation is laid, you can really start to accelerate your growth. First, examine your proximity. Surround yourself with people who naturally raise your standard, people who share your values and push you to grow without constantly needing to broadcast it. Second, practice genuine gratitude for the tiny gains. Seriously, acknowledge the small steps that feel totally insignificant in the moment, because it is the accumulation of those tiny, invisible wins that creates enormous transformation. And third, intentionally step out of your comfort zone on purpose. It is precisely that controlled, quiet discomfort that reveals what you are actually capable of achieving. And to protect all of this incredible growth, you have to master a very specific, tiny 2-letter word. You must learn to say no more often to others so that you can finally say yes to yourself. In a world that is constantly demanding your attention and their energy, every single well-placed no acts as a protective shield. It guards your focus. It defends the entire trajectory of what actually matters to your personal evolution. Ultimately, when the lights are off and literally no one is watching, you have to trust the unwitnessed process. Look, there are going to be days when the results take far longer to show up than you ever expected. There will be moments of intense doubt. But you have to remember that every quiet effort, every unseen sacrifice, is actively building a version of you that doesn't even exist yet. You are a masterpiece that is currently under construction. So allow yourself the grace and the silence to be built properly. I want you to really let this thought sink in for a second. Transformation is the sum of conscious choices made repeatedly, most of the time with nobody applauding. True, lasting change is never an accident. It is never the result of a single, highly publicized viral leap. It is forged in the quiet repetition of the right actions. So instead of announcing what you are going to do, just start doing the work. Let the results, when they finally arrive, do absolutely all the talking for you. I promise, they will speak volumes louder than your words ever could. I'll leave you with this one final thought as you step away today. Take a good look at your life right now, and then look ahead. 6 months from now, what will you have built in the dark?